What is going on, everyone? CJC presents WandA workouts and anime. Today we are going to be talking about 3 ideas that I would like to see for the next console game. Let me know what you would like to see in the next console game down in the comment section below. Now, before I get into my 3 ideas, well, maybe like 4, I guess, technically, but 3, right? 3 main concepts. I do want to talk about one caveat about why I don't want to see this being the next console game, and that's a fighting game, and more specifically a sequel to Burning Blood 2. I know a lot of people want to see that. I see that in a lot of comment sections, sometimes in my comment section as well, but mostly I see in like a DB Fighters comment section when they talk about the potential next Bleach game. But why do I not want to see a fighting game for One Piece? I think that only tells one part of One Piece, right? Like, of course, combat, hockey, Devil Fruit, of course, that is a major part, but that doesn't tell the full story of what One Piece is. Unfortunately, what Dragon Ball has devolved to, I wouldn't even say evolved, what Dragon Ball has devolved to has become more so a fighting game, right? Like, let's take a look at the stuff that they're doing for Xenoverse to Sparking Zero, right? It's more so the fighting game focus, unlike what they did for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which actually does focus on that world building aspect, which is why I think for the first idea that I would like to see for the next console game for One Piece being is a copy and paste for DBZ Kakarot. Now let me explain. I think with the East and Japan, they've consistently tried to bring One Piece over to the West to really popularize it. Even though, we are in the One Piece community, we think it's really popular, but looking from the outside in, probably not as much in the West. So how do they try to popularize One Piece in the West? That is, uniquely retelling some of the most important stories, right? This could be a recap movie. This could be 2 video games that come to mind, one of which being Unlimited World Red, one of my favorite One Piece games, and of course the most recent console game, which is One Piece Odyssey. Now, I think the obsession with trying to retell the story of One Piece consistently, it gets tiring, especially as a One Piece fan. So I think a unique way of showcasing the wonders of the One Piece world outside of the fighting is the wonders of traveling. Of course, traveling to these different islands, doing these side quests, right? Like, there is so much more to One Piece than just a fighting game, which is why what Dragon Ball Z Kakarot did for Dragon Ball Z games and the franchise as a whole was to expand the world that exists. Too many times we are obsessed with the combats, but we know that it's much bigger than that. Like, the way Dragon Ball started with Kid Goku traveling around the world collecting the 7 Dragon Balls, and we get to interact with characters we haven't seen in such a long time, right? So it's really important. Like, I do want to focus in on those key aspects. So I think Kakarot would be a great template for the next One Piece console game, and we can have it in 2 parts. So the game would be titled One Piece Tales of the Pirate King. That would be the title, and it would be part 1 and part 2. Part 1 would be all pre-time skip, right? So all of East Blue, Grand Line, so on and so forth, right? Until the end of the Paramount War. And then I would say maybe after the training arc, right, their mini training arc, and then once they're ready to meet everyone again after the 2-year time skip, that's when the game ends. As far as DLC goes, DLC would be One Piece Strong World. Boom, done. That would be part 1, Tales of the Pirate King. And then, they'd have to wait a few years, right, until One Piece actually concludes. Then we can do Tales of the Pirate King Part 2, and that'll be all of post-time skip. This way we're not cramming everything into one game. We can just focus on one period at a time. We can be nostalgic, right? The old heads, oh, pre-time skip was so much better, which in some parts it is, don't get me wrong. but they can actually enjoy that game in its total. And then, of course, those who prefer post-time skip, they can just play all of Tales of the Pirate King Part 2. So those are my ideas for the next One Piece console game. Let's take a look at the next idea, and that is simply a sequel to One Piece World Seeker. Now, I did not realize this. It's the same guys who made One Piece Unlimited World Red and the previous Unlimited World games. I did not realize World Seeker was a sequel. I love this game. I don't know why people give it so much shit. It fucking confuses me, man. The game was so much fun. I loved the island. I just wish there was more to explore in the island. Like, throw a second island. You know, like, throw, like, different environments. So I think there's a lot of things that they can do to incorporate into the next One Piece game and actually give us like a good Snake Man, because what in the flying fuck was that? I don't know who on the dev team was like, yeah, this is okay to release. Katakuri was fantastic. I love that boss. I love fighting that boss. It's so interesting to, you know, gotta get a perfect dodge in order to really land hits. That's such a fun boss, especially for that game. But then they fucking did whatever the hell they did with Snake Man, and that was horrendous. So, hopefully that studio can actually give us a good Snake Man. And then maybe DLC would be a Gear 5th Luffy. Again, similar how they did with World Seeker. How I'm pretty sure the Gear 4 Snake Man, the horrible Gear 4 Snake Man, was free DLC. So they could do something like that. In terms of enemies, so last time it was a Marine who was the enemy, like a Vice Admiral if I'm not mistaken. This time you can make the enemy a pirate, and then of course incorporating the Straw Hats into the game and make them playable. Like, at least the Monster Trio should be playable. There's no reason why Sanji was not playable in World Seeker. And Zoro, Law, of course, but Sabo, come on now. Zoro, Law, Sanji, or Zoro, Sanji, Law, right? Whatever order it was for the DLC. I think it was Zoro, Sabo, and Law. I think Sanji should have been playable, no doubt. And of course, incorporating other characters as well. Like, I would love to see Boa Hancock, Mihawk. Who else would be interesting to see again? Like, why would we have Germa 66, but we don't have Sanji fighting Germa 66? Come on now, that is such a missed mark. Why aren't we having, Sanji actually cook us meals to actually improve our stats and not just send the other Straw Hats item fishing? I mean, to be honest, that's really what it came down to when it came to Sanji cooking. So yeah, incorporating the other Straw Hats, making them playable. If you want the other Straw Hats to be DLC characters, like give Jinbei a mission, right? Or Frankie gets a DLC. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things you can do. So I wish that would be for the next sequel. Have all the Straw Hats playable, if not at least 5 of them. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, again, like I said, there's no reason the Monster Trio should not have been playable in World Seeker. Give us more islands, make the enemy a pirate. That's all I'd have to say about One Piece World Seeker 2, I guess. And finally, my third idea for the next console game, and hear me out, and I would have loved for this to have been the actual original idea. So, a little backstory. Right, whatever the the flashback music is. So when One Piece Odyssey was first, patented, I think that's the right word, when Bandai put in the trademark for that name, One Piece Odyssey. This was a few years ago. I made a video on it. I think I've deleted it since. If I didn't, then it's probably going to be on screen, but I most likely have already deleted it. I was going to make a video series on the retelling of One Piece, but through the Iliad and the Odyssey. I thought that's what they were going to do. I think that would have been so cool. Again, the East, Japan is very intent on retelling the story of One Piece to the West, in particular through video games. So I think this would be such an interesting idea where you're blending in these two concepts of Greek mythology and One Piece, which, I mean, look, One Piece is considered an epic. It is, you can say whatever you want. I know there's some literature nerds out there. You can say whatever you want. One Piece is indeed an epic. So why not blend these two epics together in order to retell the story of One Piece? I think this would be an awesome idea. Who would be what in the story? You don't necessarily need to do that. You can just have these characters live out, or quote unquote, live out the lives of others, but through their name, of course. Like, would Odysseus be Luffy, I guess? Yeah, sure. Odysseus would be Luffy. I think Achilles could be Ace, right? Because I'm pretty sure Achilles dies in the Trojan War, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, like, there are a lot of things you could have done regarding the name One Piece Odyssey, right? When I think Odyssey, I am thinking of the books or the epics written by Homer. And there wasn't that much of an Odyssey to begin with. I know Odyssey translates to adventure or journey, but then again, if we have already been to these places, not so much of an Odyssey, right? Although I do have to say, the environment is gorgeous, especially Water 7. It looks freaking beautiful. No wonder, I'm pretty sure her name's Lim, the new character, the new girl from One Piece Odyssey. No wonder she's like, yo, this is pretty cool. That's not her exact quote, but of course I'm paraphrasing. Alright, so that brings my ideas to an end for the next One Piece console game. Again, let's go over it real quick. First idea is a DBZ Kakarot similar game, right? I do want it by CyberConnect because they do a fantastic job with anime games outside of Storm Connections, but we don't talk about that, right? Of course, but they do a great job with anime games. So if they can do what DBZ Kakarot was for Dragon Ball, something similar for One Piece, and they could break it into two parts, right? Part 1 being all a pre-time skipped and a DLC of the Strong World movie, and then a second game, a sequel to the game that can actually like carry over. I didn't talk about this in my initial part, but some stats can carry over to like the same save file. So stats can like carry over and stuff like that. So yeah, that for a two-part game. My second idea would be a sequel to One Piece World Seeker by the same guys. Give us a good playable Snake Man. Again, not whatever the fuck we got before, right? And of course make the Straw Hats playable. That's the important thing. And of course have the villain be a pirate because World Seeker had a Marine as a villain. And my last idea would be to recreate the story of One Piece but tell it in a different setting, whether that might be Greek mythology, some sort of mythology where you retell the story of One Piece or place them in a different setting, similar to how Naruto does it with some of their filler arcs. Even One Piece has done that with some of their filler anime arcs. So something along those lines, but a video game version. So again, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you have to say when it comes to my ideas for the next One Piece console game, or just what your ideas are for the next One Piece console game. And of course, I'm not including One Piece Power Warriors 5, so there's that. That being said, see you in the comments and in the next video. Peace.